What is up, Montana sports fans? You've just stepped into Wide Left Sports, where the stories are real, the passion is loud, and the athletes come first. This isn't just another sports show. This is Montana. Small towns, big dreams, long nights, early mornings, and people who flat out love the game. From Friday night lights to summer ball under the sun, from gym floors to turf fields. If it matters here, we're talking about it. Today's episode is another chance to give Montana athletes the mic and let them tell their story the right way. So settle in, turn it up, and get ready, because this is Wide Left Sports. But first, here's a word from our sponsors. Wide Left Sports is proudly sponsored by TDS Fiber, bringing fast, reliable internet to Billings and beyond. Whether you're streaming the big game, uploading content, or just trying to keep the whole house connected, TDS Fiber delivers the speed you need without the lag. Check availability in your neighborhood and make the switch today. TDS Fiber, internet built for real life. Wide Left Sports is proud to partner with the Montana Pro Football Hall of Fame. Join them June 26th and 27th in Billings for a weekend celebrating Montana football history and the legends who helped build it. Friday, June 26th, kicks off with the golf tournament at Pryor Creek. Check-in starts at 8 a.m. with a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Then on Saturday, June 27th, head to the Billings Hotel and Convention Center for the inductee banquet. Doors open at 5 p.m. with the banquet starting at 6. Enjoy dinner, football highlights, incredible stories from past and present inductees, plus a live auction featuring autographed footballs. For more information, contact Lynn Greenberg at 406-281-2851 and come be a part of an awesome weekend celebrating Montana football. Wide Left Sports is proud to partner with Top Sandwich Company. Seriously, if you have not had Tops yet, you're missing out. Great sandwiches, awesome people, and one of the best spots to grab lunch in Billings. You can check them out at 4007 Avenue B, Unit 1, or 2206 Grant Road. Next time you're hungry, stop by Top Sandwich Company and tell them you heard about them on Wide Left Sports. Hello, welcome to Wide Left Sports. Today I am joined by a Spartan runner and then also one of the contributors to the mental health playbook, Jenna Ravenscrop. Jenna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing really good. So let's start this out by what inspired you to start Spartan racing?
I was kind of into a bunch of different athletics and coaching. And as I was like out of like the team sports thing and rec sports and even like city league style stuff, um, just began to look for like something to try and still compete at, and compete in. And ran like a couple like 5Ks and 10Ks and wasn't really scratching that itch. And then that was right about the time Spartan Racing actually had their first race here in Idaho, and it's right here kind of close to where I live, like 15 minutes away. And so I ran my first one here, ran a second one that year, and then kind of went full send into it and traveled around quite extensively for the next few years, chasing trifectas and world championship qualifications. Did that for several years, met some very amazing, awesome people throughout that are, lifelong friends and people I still travel and do different things with. So enabled me to kind of see sports in a different way. It led me down an endurance pathway too. So they have an endurance brand that is 4-hour endurance style teamwork, kind of outside of your normal kind of activity stuff. And then I did 12-hour with that, and then an ultra. So I did an endurance trifecta with Spartan 1 year. And then I met a really good friend of mine doing some of the endurance stuff with Spartan, who we actually competed in Go Ruck team assessment during COVID, actually. It got postponed and moved back. And that's a 48-hour event under weight and mental manipulation and physical capacity and freezing and no sleep. So, yeah.
Wow. So for people that don't know 100% what a Spartan race entails, what are the different legs and what all does it entail?
So it's actually, they've kind of progressed and started kind of in hybrid series within their entity now. I'll talk about that too, because it's kind of what I've competed in most recently, as I don't really travel around much with Spartan anymore. But there are essentially three different race levels within the Spartan racing. You have your sprint, which is roughly a 5K worth of running, and approximately 20 to 25 obstacles. Obstacles can range in difficulty. Usually a sprint is geared towards more of like the beginner level of racer, so has the more completable, more obtainable obstacles, obviously with the less running distance. There's super, which is their next level up. The mid-level one is now it's a 10K, so it's more between 6 and 7 miles, or 8 miles. Yeah, somewhere in there. It's usually 3 miles for the sprint. Yeah, 5K, 10K, right around 10K. Um, has more obstacles to it and a little bit longer distance. Most of the obstacles are going to be like the obstacles in the sprint, so more your obtainable obstacles that are easier, not easier, but higher likelihood of completion. And then their beast is essentially their half marathon level. Um, so you're talking like right around, they say 10 to 13 miles. They also are labeled Spartan miles because early on, it could be 36 miles if it was supposed to be 33 miles for some of their ultras. So that would be their beast. So if you were to complete one of those in a weekend, it's classified as a trifecta, or even when you complete it in a calendar year, all the pieces you get will fit together in a wedge. You can complete them in weekends now. They'll have trifecta weekends in different places. The obstacles you see in the beast, you'll have right around a handful of obstacles in that are pretty difficult. They're higher level completion ones that you'll only see in a beast or an ultra course. And then the ultra is a 50K, so an ultra marathon in distance. Usually is 2 loops of a beast. So if there's a beast at a race weekend, it'll be 2 loops of what the normal beast runners would run, with usually an ultra loop in there. And those are their basic ones, really, for, I'll call it, general population. They do have a death race series and a Nagogi series, which is more their endurance style ones, that requires like an application and some other tasks you should be very good with before trying to take one of those on. And then just in the last, I want to say 5 years, they've started a DECA series, and they have a DECA Strong, a DECA Mile, and a DECA Fit. So the DECA Strong, they have 10 stations and they're functional movement stations. So like reverse lunges, rowing, box step overs, weighted burpees, weighted lunges, assault bike, med ball sit-ups. So the 10 functional movement stations are the same for your strong and your mile. The strong is just the stations. The mile is, you have a mile worth of running. So like, I think it ends up being 160 meters. I don't know if we're doing it by meters. It's just under 200 meter per run in between stations. And then the DECA Fit is like a 5K worth of running, with the same stations, with the exception of, uh, let's see, the med ball sit-ups changes. I've done it in a couple years. I think that's the only one. There might be 2 of them that are different. Uh, yeah, maybe the yoke one, off the top of my head. And yeah, so they've done that in the last 5 years. That's been, they have a world championship for it. It's gotten a lot of kind of traction. With the traction that it has, it's brought High Rocks is a really big brand right now. Um, these U.S. races that they host for High Rocks to get into a world championship for those will sell out within a
Wow.
matter of hours. Uh, and most of the U.S. ones in the individuals or the teams, yeah, they're sold out within. You're waiting in the queue, and you might not get your chance to compete in them. And that's
Wow.
again, it's a higher level one, I would say, of DecaFit. It's got less stations, but the distance in some of the stations is more. It's a 10K of, a 7K of running. So there's 1,000-meter run in between uh, to start, and then in between each of those stations. Stations are pretty similar. You'll see some different ones where they have weighted wall balls. The row and the ski are 1,000 meters versus 500 meters. Burpee broad jumps versus weighted burpee rams. So similar stuff, but a little bit heavier, a little bit gnarly. They've put on a pretty good vibe. Um, People are really crazed about that function. And if you've been to one, it's pretty insane to be there and feel that.
Oh, that's awesome. So, with all of that and all the different parts of your body that you're working out when you're doing a Spartan race, how did you prep for those and get into the shape you needed to run them?
It's like a trial by error, really. You kind of have this idea of what a workout looks like or what like a training cycle looks like until you start doing some of these things and then you figure out there's things that need to be tweaked because there's things that you're taxing that you didn't think you could tax. If they go like a heavy grip strength obstacle gauntlet, we call it, you figure out real quick that your grip strength needs to be elevated to a different level to be able to recover faster. um, Upper body stuff is super important in some of those. Their walls, just to be able to grab a wall and do a pull up to even get to your elbows or to be able to push up on something um, is important. So you're learning just different movements, and everyone kind of has different ones that they do. It just kind of depends on how they build muscle. But I would get into specific movements, okay, weighted exercises that I would do that I found uh, I would hurt less after. I wouldn't say I wouldn't hurt at all or not be bruised or bloody, but that's kind of part of that. I think that's
Hmm.
why I transitioned out of that outdoor series. The older I get, the less I like to be cold, really, really cold or really, really hot, or really, really beat up and bruised. Um, so when they kind of went with the indoor stuff and inside for Deca and then with High Rocks, I was like, yeah, I'm, I could deal with inside. Yeah, that's fine. That sounds like a good idea. So yeah, it just kind of
That
depends with each person.
that's awesome. So, talk to me about that indoor because when I think of Spartan races, I think of the outdoor. I have a few friends that have run outdoor Spartan races, but I've never even heard of this indoor. And so, how is that a little bit different from the outdoor?
Well, those two things I just mentioned, that climate control is a big one. Just knowing that you're not having to worry about overheating. Really, I mean, you can get hot and sweaty and inside some of these facilities. There's usually like convention centers. You can be cold, but not to the constraint of like we're talking Tahoe when we had people medevacing off of the mountainside due to hypothermia at a world championship and then shutting down water obstacles because they can't get people off the mountain that are in critical condition. So these indoor events are a little bit more protected from that aspect of it, but it's also more, I think, more available and more it gives a lot of people the ability to complete those, whereas some of those outdoor ones that they have, depending on the venue that they're at, that can be a lot to. They tried to do the whole get off the couch movement. So these ones that they do with Deca, they're having to use less space outside. They have affiliates that run. most of these events for them. So from a marketing line, they're not shipping a whole bunch of people out to run, the miles and the strongs. Uh, the affiliates can run those on their own, and people can qualify for the world championships. The only thing they're worried about is running these fits in these convention centers, a few times, a couple times a month, and then moving those locations around. Uh, I think it was part of their reason to start that also is maybe to help their bottom line a little bit. Um, they did acquire Tough Mudder, so they kind of have the brand on the marketplace there. Like they have the corner on the market, uh, and it enables them to be able to host both of those and do both of those. But for me, it was just I was kind of tired of the same venues and the same obstacles. Like after 8 years or 9 years, I kept thinking, we'd have some changes to these. We'd maybe go to some different venues. We'd have some different obstacles. We'd have some different adaptations. And I just don't feel like they progressed enough. Um, they also went through from a business standpoint and got rid of a lot of people that I think helped build the brand and were the faces of the brand. And for some of us that had been around almost since the beginning, that was really hard for us. These
Yeah,
people that we would search out for and just solid people. Their brand is going a different way. So um, they're still making money. They're still hosting events. They're still selling out, or thousands of people are flocking to these places. But I rarely go to any of the outdoor ones unless it just happens to be a place that I'm going to be and I'm looking for something to do.
for sure. So then in all your travels, I know you're not necessarily traveling with it as much, but in all your travels with it, where are some of your favorite places that they've held events?
You're a Montana guy, so the Big Fork one, I have friends that live up there, so that was always one of my favorite ones to go to. That venue was phenomenal, and the ability to be able to go up there and obviously hang out. We'd get to hit Glacier before people are, you can ride your bikes in there before they open, go into the Sun Road and
Yeah,
do
that
all
is
the
the most beautiful part of Montana right there.
yeah. So, I mean, I'd always make like a nice little mini vacation out of it. So that one holds a special place for sure. Hawaii, I got to do a trifecta in Hawaii, and not by competitive standpoint as well as I should have been able to do. But I hadn't really kind of been focused on it. The whole point was to be able to go to Hawaii for a week, right? And complete it. But it was set at Kailua Ranch, and I mean it was where they filmed Jurassic Park and 51st Dates. So you have some of these movie props, but you're also like climbing, and I'm like not exaggerating, like crab crawling, climbing up, bushwhacking the spines of these like mountains. And then you get to the top and you have this beautiful view, and then they send you right back down. Like we did this like 3 times in the Beast. And it was so hard and it was so hot. And I do not like humidity. It was so humid. Um, but it was so awesome just to like complete that and just to, yeah. So those two are probably my most favorite. We did a Canada one. Went up to Red Deer. My dad and I went up to Red Deer and competed in Red Deer. My dad has done um, Montana. He actually broke his back falling off an obstacle in Montana.
Oh
Cracked
boy.
some vertebrae that we didn't know about for a little while. Yeah. I mean, he finished the race, but yeah, not probably his smartest move, but it's a great story to tell. Um, yeah. Portland would probably be my other one just because it was at Washougal motocross park. Really tight, really gritty. Had some of my fastest times there, and used to always be in August. So it was like um, there's always like 4 or 5 of us with birthdays right around that time. So it was like an exaggerated birthday party. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
That is awesome. So now let's transition a little bit into coaching because I know you said that you also coached
Mhm.
before you did the Spartan racing. So what sports did you coach, and how do you think that those helped you when you started being, the Spartan athlete and doing those?
Yeah. I actually started coaching when I was I call it in high school because I helped with some middle school AAU stuff. So if you were to look back at my like senior quote memory book, like it said, be a teacher and a coach. So I knew from a pretty like young level, like that was probably what was going to be my jam. And so I've coached boys soccer, girls soccer, volleyball, girls basketball, track, and lacrosse in official capacities. So that gives you a lot of different perspectives. So I've worked with a lot of like phenomenal other coaches. I coached women's basketball at a junior college out here for about 5 years. Um, and that's like that was the last coaching gig. Once I was done there, I was done with the coaching because I kind of got to a point where um, being an athlete in my generation and being a coach to the generations after my level of athlete worked for a while, but now it's just such a different such a different place to be in. And I was struggling with being able to communicate effectively is the best way to put it. And that's just, I mean, you're taught one way, you're coached one way, so that kind of gives you a little bit of a pathway and a rubric that you're kind of going off of. Uh, and so I finally got to the point where I couldn't see the same commitment level in the athletes that I was coaching. And I'd been missing out on things in my life, like weddings and birthday parties and my own athletic events. Like I wouldn't go to a race because we had a game or whatever. And when I felt like winning and losing or being competitive, didn't really matter or wasn't a big deal. Um, that's when I was like, okay, I feel like this is probably I'm at my end of my ability to be an influential coach. But lucky for me, I got to coach a bunch of different levels. Like I've done elementary school, I've done junior high, I've been an assistant coach, I've been a head coach, which is really useful in your ability to be able to like communicate with people and be able to collaborate with people too. Like you learn so much from the coaches that are around you, and you kind of vibe off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like when they say good cop, bad cop, there's probably good cop, bad, good coach, bad coach in those situations where there's always like someone that's the authoritarian, kind of making
Yep.
the rules. And then you always have to have those other coaches that are there to be the back support, right? Like the motivational, the put the pieces back together coaches. So yeah, that was a really good, yeah, blessing, I guess, in my life.
Oh, that's awesome. So then, teaching all those, or excuse me, coaching all those different levels and coaching all those different sports, did you have like a favorite level that you really connected with? And then, of course, a favorite sport to coach for you too?
I would say, um, I would definitely say the junior college basketball, coaching girls basketball. It happened to be the same place I played basketball at, or went to junior college at and graduated with, and was on the basketball team there. Um, because I live still in the same area. So that was really kind of cool to go back to the roots right there and kind of be a part of something. I got to work with some phenomenal coaches there. We lost one of them, stopped coaching with us, and he was in a car accident. Uh, he's no longer with us, but just to have the ability to be able to work with him um, prior to all that and to know him and his family was really awesome. Um, but the connections that I made, like I still talk to many of those athletes. I still, some of them are still getting married. I get wedding invites, or I see them around town, or one of my former athletes is now the head coach there, and I work with her dad, and he's my coworker. So just like the 7 degrees of separation and like how the world works is pretty crazy. Like it's pretty awesome to still be included in that, and then um, just to have the conversations that we can have now, just about back then of like what my role was in their 2 years while they were with us. Because sometimes as coaches and adults and teachers, um, you never really you never really know that impact, and you don't know that byline, and you don't know that story or that connection. until you see these kids that come back around or come
Right.
back later or have enough reasoning to just send you an email and tell you like, hey, you're super influential. Like, I'm super glad you were there. So
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. So now let's transition to the mental health playbook that you were a part of with Luke Swenson, who's a good friend of mine as well. What is your kind of connection to Luke, and how did he approach you about being a part of this book?
yeah, it's funny. I've known Luke since he was just a little guy. Right after, I think I met him right after he had just done one of his first assemblies, where he was just getting started. So my mom and his dad actually worked together at a real estate place, and that's kind of how in the real estate industry, and that's kind of how I met them. Um, and didn't have a whole lot of connection as far as like early on with any of his early stuff because I think that was about the time they moved up to Montana, if I remember correctly. We'd known them in Boise, and then he was in Montana for a while. And then once he came back to
Yeah.
Boise, um, he loves my dad's meatloaf. So they'll go see my parents like once a month, and just for my dad's meatball and my mom's cookies. So we just always kind of kept in touch. And the first year when the Holo brand started to kind of really take off and get traction, and he did his camp Holo, I was a part of that initial one, which was really cool to be able to take some kids up to that campground. And we had a lot of really good people there. Of all varying ages, just kind of talking about, resilience and putting our mind to things and not being discouraged about just different things. Um, so that's kind of, I think, probably how I got asked to be part of the mental toughness playbook. That and we've had um, Thor and Luke and I had a couple different conversations about just different stuff as I've been competing. And they'd heard my story, obviously, at Holo, so they'd kind of known I'd had some of that background, and then with the coaching stuff, um, I bring a kind of a different right. I have all of these different pathways and ways of
Yeah.
connection to be able to be asked that. So Thor actually asked me, he's like, "Hey, would you be interested? Luke's working on this next project, and we're just kind of looking for different people." And so, yeah, for me, I absolutely jumped on that. Mental health is such an important part. Um, I really am hoping that they get in a collaboration with the J Foundation out of Twin Falls. I have a friend that works there, and they're huge into mental health and suicide awareness, and their pathways for both of their companies are like so aligned that it would probably be a pretty fantastic co-opportunity for both of them. So with my connection to understanding a little bit more about mental health, and especially with COVID and what COVID kind of did to everybody, like it really became a forefront. And when I talk to kids about that, I talk to them about that now. Like we used to never really be able to talk about it. Like if you were struggling or if you were sad, like it was just something that
Right.
wasn't encouraged to talk about. You were supposed to shut that down. You were supposed to figure out how to deal with it. But I always use the reference like tools in a toolbox to my kids when I lecture about mental health or when I go for my Health One kids that are freshmen, just through the entire trimester. It's always about tools in the toolbox. Like we have to be able to give you these tools, introduce these tools, show you how these tools work in order for you to be successful in order to use them for yourselves. And we just lost so much of that with COVID and mental health and being locked away and not having interactions and then not coming out with um well, no one knew, right? I don't think anyone really knew that that was going to have such an impact the way that it did. But then we
Right.
just kind of floundered for a little while there trying to figure out how to get back on top of this and really kind of uh, be able to support people that needed support with it. So Yeah, when they asked me, I absolutely jumped on it. I was like, cool. Sounds like a cool project. Sounds like something I'd like to be a part of. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And then for people that have not had the chance to read the book yet and read your chapter, give us a little snippet into what it's about and just what your part is in the book.
So I'm assuming like all of us that were involved in this collaboration with this book probably got asked the same answer or probably got asked the same questions would be my guess. And you really had no idea uh where you were going to end up or how this was going to correlate into what this book looked like. Like I didn't see this book. I didn't see anything in this book until it came out. So I literally had absolutely no idea uh what my context was going to look like, what it was going to be about, what the emphasis was. So when they came out, I just obviously was flipping through the book because I don't really know anyone else, any of the other collaborators. I don't know if any of the rest of them know. I don't know what the connection is between all of us, or if any of us have really ever met in person. So it's interesting how Luke had to take these questionnaires down and try and put it into this. So I am I my portion of it, or the portion that was kind of disseminated to my portion of it was the discipline side, which is quite fitting. If any of you were to ask any of my friends, they would be that would probably be the portion of the book that she would be the the most likely to give input in. And it more just talks about like none of us, speaking from the athletic perspective, there, and I have a lot of really good friends, and one of my really good friends, Chad, and I talk on a daily basis, and it's like we never ever wake up in the morning and go, man, every day I wake up, I don't wake up and go, I'm gonna just crush this workout, or I can't wait to work out, or I can't wait to do this. Like, not every day. I mean, there are some days I might get up and be like, yes, it's going to be a great day. Okay. But no, not every day I'm going to wake up feeling like that. But if you have something that you're working towards, right, you have to be disciplined enough to know that I have to do this either for myself or for my teammate or for something in the future, whatever it is. Like, I have to hold myself accountability to be able to do this. Like, it's really easy to do things. Um, when it's organized, right? So there's an open workout or your coach tells you to be to practice. Like, yeah, I can come to practice because I know I'm supposed to be at practice. Like, that's my thing. Like, I'm supposed to be there. But what are you doing when your coach isn't there? What are you doing when your teammates aren't there? Like, what are you doing when nobody is watching, essentially, is one of the emphases on that. Like, so it's just about understanding that you aren't always probably going to feel the most amazing about whatever it is that you have to do, but like, what is your end goal and what are you doing each day to like achieve that end goal? And the older I've gotten, like, I will say this now, I would never skip workouts. I would never skip this. I would never skip that. Like, I was always just like, even no matter what's going on, like, I'm going to do it because that's what's on the calendar because I have OCD and it's supposed to happen like this. um, but in the last like 4 or 5 years now, I'm like, if I just don't feel like it, I'm gonna take the day off and it's gonna be okay. Because from a mental health standpoint, if I'm not feeling it and it's gonna throw me off for something else, or I got something else that I need to deal with, then I need to deal with that. And it's okay. But from an athletic standpoint, we're so hardwired to just like that's the end all be all when you skip like things like that. And for athletes
Yeah.
for such a long time, we didn't talk about mental health either, right? Like we didn't talk about mental toughness. We didn't give kids tools to be mentally tough. Like all these things are now we're starting to see in the forefront of being labeled as important because we finally figured it out as a culture, as a generation, as a sports area, as just anyone. So
For sure. And I want to give a shout out for the book. You can purchase it online at holobrand.org. I have read the book, uh, um, and it's just really good to see all of the different athletes. I've had a few of them on my podcast to talk about it. But it's a great book. You should definitely pick it up. And so, Jenna, as my final question to you here as we kind of wrap things up, what advice do you have to future athletes, whether it be in Spartan racing or just athletics in general? What advice do you have to them to get through the best level they can?
Really understand what it is your goal is in the process. Sometimes we get so hyper focused on I want to qualify for a world championship, or I want to be number one in the world, or I want to be number one in my district or my league or whatever it is. That's great. I love that. But what are you going to accomplish outside of that? Like, what is that going to do for you somewhere else? Is it just going to make you happy? Is it going to make you feel accomplished? Is it going to make you feel recognized? Like, what is it that you're really looking for in that process, and what are you going to gain from that process as getting there? Like, we have to pick more things up and learn more things about ourselves. It's can't just be just the end process. I want to win and then I win. Like, how did you get there? Who supported you? Who do you have to thank? What are you going to accomplish now? So have more than just that insight.
I love that. Well, Jenna, I want to thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about all that you do, and of course, the mental health playbook as well. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Wide Left Sports. If you liked what you heard, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and keep spreading the word. Because the platform grows when Montana sports fans show up for Montana athletes. These stories matter, the work matters, and the passion around sports in this state is something special. Huge thank you to our sponsors for helping make this possible, and thank you for listening, supporting, and riding with us. We've got